Now, I'm going to explain to you what a subdivision permit is. So, in short, a subdivision permit is a legal authorization granted by local authorities that allows a property owner to divide a larger parcel of land into smaller lots of parcels. Like, so to simplify the definition, a subdivision permit is the permission that a landowner gets from local authorities like city council, town council, rural district council, to divide. Let's say someone has 10,000 square meters, a land that's in total 10,000 square meters, and they want to divide it into 10 equal stands. So the permission that they require and get from the local authorities to then divide that land into 10 stands is the subdivision permit. So I'm going to explain the contents of the subdivision permit and the conditions that a landowner has to comply with is stated on a subdivision permit. So, in Zimbabwe, before a subdivision permit is granted, the local authority, usually city councils, they run what's called a notice of appeal. In this instance, they simply do some background check and try to understand if there is anyone who has real interest or a claim, a genuine claim, or any other owner on that particular property before they approve the subdivision. So what they do is that when a property owner approaches the local authority requesting for a permission to subdivide, they advertise that property on a newspaper for a period of 30 days. They'll be asking if there is anyone who has a claim on that property. So for a period of 30 days, they will be advertising that property. So after that, they will then say, so mind you, before I forget, so mind you, before doing this, the paperwork that the landowner has must satisfy the local authority for them to then be able to conclude that this is the rightful owner of the property. Then they run a notice of appeal where they want to find if there is any other claim on that property, despite the landowner being the rightful owner of the property. So after running a notice of appeal, the council, the local authority, it then sets forth some conditions that the landowner has to comply with for the subdivision to then be approved as residential stands, as habitable for the end user, the consumer, who in this instance is a property buyer, who then buy those people who buy the smaller segments of the 10,000 is the example that we gave earlier. So among the contents, among the conditions set forth by the local authority, the landowner, who is the person requesting for the permission to subdivide, will have to install water and sewer reticulation. So for stands that are less than 1,000 square meters in Zimbabwe, the general standards are that there has to be water and sewer reticulation. So the local authority will give the person seeking the permission to subdivide a condition that yes, we're going to give you the permission to subdivide, but you are supposed to install water and sewer reticulation before you sell the stands. So that's one of the conditions. So another condition is installment and of power lines, which are usually in Zimbabwe, it's ZESA power. So the electricity lines, so a developer is supposed to, upon being granted the permission to subdivide, they are supposed to source power for the end user, for the buyer to be able to access when they buy the land. So we have spoken of water and sewer reticulation in power. Now we're talking of roads. So another condition is the grading and installment of asphalt roads, which are tarred roads. So for the land to then be classified as habitable and conducive for residential use, upon being granted permission to subdivide the land, the the, the landowner, who is the developer, who is the one who has been granted permission to subdivide, they're supposed to open the roads and ensure that their roads suit standards as required by the local authorities. So they're supposed to be grading of roads, compacting of roads, dumping, and then the roads has to be tarred at last. So what this does is that it ensures there is connectivity and accessibility for the end user as they move to and from their property. So another condition is ensuring that there is proper landscaping and drainage. So there is supposed to be installment of culverts, bridges if there is requirement of any, and proper flow of water to the nearest water body, maybe it's a river or whatnot. So this ensures that there won't be waterlogging and flooding and whatnot. So this is one of the conditions that's set forth by the local authority when you are given permission to subdivide. So I think this is the final and last condition, or the general, these are the general conditions. Maybe there may be some that I may omit in here, but these are the general conditions. So the one last common condition is the payment of the 10% endowment fees to the local authority. So a clear example of the 10% endowment fee. So if a person has 100 stands, they simply have to give 10 stands to the local authority. If they have 10 stands, they simply have to give 1 stand to the local authority. So that's 10% value of the total land to the local authority. So what they do with the land is up to them, but normally the land was supposed to be used and spared for the disabled and those people who are disadvantaged, but you cannot really follow up and ask what they do with the land. So it's one of the conditions. They will tell you, yes, we are going to grant you permission to subdivide, but you're going to follow these standards, among which is payment of the 10% endowment fees. So to summarize the conditions as set forth by the local authority upon granting of the permission to subdivide, the developer has to open roads. The developer has to install water and sewer reticulation. The developer has to ensure there is proper electricity and power lines. The developer has to do proper landscaping and ensure proper water drainage, and then payment of the 10% endowment fees to the local authority. So these are the general conditions as set forth by the local authority when they grant you permission to subdivide the land. So upon the grant of this subdivision permit, the developer has the responsibility to then meet these conditions before they sell any stands, before they sell the land. So when they have done all these requirements, they've met all these requirements, when they've complied with all these standards, the local authority will issue what's called a compliance certificate, which confirms that the developer has complied with the set standards. So in the next video, I'm going to explain what a certificate of compliance is.